Welcome back to Stitch Madness. After almost 4 months of voting, 14 eliminations, and more bracket chaos than I think either of us expected, we finally made it to the championship.
When we started this, we thought we'd have a pretty good idea of which patterns would rise to the top. We were spectacularly wrong.
And honestly, I'm really glad we were. The whole point of this tournament was to let all of you decide what should move forward, and you have definitely had opinions.
So before we reveal this week's championship matchup, let's take a look back at what the tournament has looked like so far.
One thing really jumped out at me, Craig, when I started looking at the numbers after the Final Four.
The audience kept growing?
Yep. In the Sweet 16, we averaged about 34 votes per matchup. By the Elite Eight, that climbed to over 34. And in the Final Four, we averaged 44 votes per game.
That is a huge increase.
And I think that's exactly what you'd hope for. As the field narrowed, more people started paying attention, more people had favorites, and more people wanted their pattern to survive.
So first of all, thank you. Whether you voted every single week or just recently discovered Stitch Madness, you've made this way more fun than we've ever imagined. Now let's talk about the bracket itself.
Or maybe we should talk about how completely wrong the bracket turned out to be.
Right? By the Final Four, 3 of the remaining 4 patterns were double-digit seeds.
That means most of our favorites coming into the tournament were gone surprisingly early.
And only one of the top 4 seeds even survived into the Elite Eight.
I actually love that, like low-key. It tells me people weren't voting based on the number next to the pattern. They were voting for the design they genuinely wanted to see me stitch.
And that's exactly how it should be.
The other thing I noticed, Craig, was that the games got closer as the tournament went on.
That is true. The average margin of victory dropped all the way to 19 percentage points in the Final Four.
And that's despite the Final Four having the highest turnout. That's a tongue twister. And that's despite the Final Four having the highest turnout of the whole tournament.
The best example was Peacock and Pomegranate versus Sweater Buffalo.
25 votes to 23 votes.
Two votes.
If just 2 of you had voted differently, we'd have a completely different championship.
That's how close this thing's become.
Let's take a look at our 2 finalists. Our first finalist is Peacock and Pomegranate.
This one entered the tournament as our number 7 seed, so was not considered a favorite, but it quietly put together one of the strongest resumes in the field.
It earned 79 total votes, the most of either finalist.
And what's interesting is that Peacock has had to adapt.
It started with a huge opening win, followed that with another convincing victory, and then it had to survive the closest game we've had all tournament.
So this is the pattern that has already been battle tested.
It knows what it's like to have every single vote matter.
Now for what might be the biggest surprise of Stitch Madness.
An Ode to Libraries entered as the number 13 seed.
And from that point forward, it has merely steamrolled everyone.
First it won by 83%. Then it won by 75%. Then it won by 67%.
That is not just winning.
That is dominating.
No opponent has come within 34 percentage points.
And only 24 votes out of like 460 total votes, only 24 votes have been cast against it during the entire tournament.
So while Peacock and Pomegranate has been battle tested,
Ode to Libraries has looked almost unstoppable. Craig, it's a lot like about 10 years ago when Leicester City were at the bottom of the table of the Premier League and they shot past everybody else and the number 2 wasn't even close.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Leicester City, right?
Well, that's what makes this championship so interesting.
These 2 patterns couldn't have had more different paths to this championship matchup. Last game of the season, Katie. Can't hold anything back now.
You've been waiting this entire tournament to say that, haven't you?
Maybe.
Peacock and Pomegranate has had the tougher road. More close games, more pressure, more chances to get knocked out.
Ode to Libraries has simply overwhelmed every opponent that has stood in its way.
I mean, really, this feels like a classic sports matchup.
Do you trust the team that's already proven itself to win a close game?
Or the team that's looked dominant from opening day? Now it's your turn.
Forget the seeds.
Forget the statistics.
Forget which one has had the easier path.
Which one would you actually be excited to start?
That's really what Stitch Madness has always been about.
Before we send this over to all of you, let's put ourselves on the record. I think Ode to Libraries is going to continue their steamrolling domination, their Cinderella story, and I think Ode to Libraries is going to pull it up.
And I think Peacock and Pomegranate will take the championship. But I've been wrong before.
More than once.
And there's a very good chance I'll be wrong again.
Thank you all for making the very first Stitch Madness so much fun.
We love seeing your comments, your arguments for your favorite patterns, and even your good-natured attempts to convince other voters.
Voting opens Friday at noon Mountain Time on Instagram stories and stays open for 24 hours.
One more matchup.
One more vote.
And next week,
we crown the first Stitch Madness champion. Your move.